What's up, Latino Nation? My name is Tony Delgado, and welcome to Latino Wall Street Live here on the FinTech TV network. We're here with my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Raul from The Edge. Raul, thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate having me.
So you've built this huge global community of executives, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and that led you to creating an app,
Yes.
the Edge 100 app. Can you tell us, for the people who don't know, what is the Edge 100 app?
So I started my journey in personal development going to seminars, reading books, listening to CDs. I don't know if you remember CDs, the DVDs, plug
Yeah, cassette tapes,
cassette tapes, right? And I saw that something was missing. Because every single time that I went to a personal development seminar, I came back with a high. A couple of weeks, started dropping. So when I started this, I asked myself, what's missing? What can I do to maintain the same energy? And the one thing was missing was accountability. In personal development, there's very little accountability unless you have a coach. You have a coach and you have to pay thousands of dollars to have a coach to hold you accountable. But there wasn't any technology to hold people accountable. So what I did is I created a spreadsheet and I started managing my accountability with my clients with spreadsheets. But then spreadsheets got too complicated. So I built an app for my clients to be able to track their habits, to track their experiences, to make sure every single day we have a point system that lets them know whether they're winning or they're losing the game of life.
So I have a question for you. In your experience working with business owners, entrepreneurs, business leaders, executives, what's the difference between the winners and the losers?
The main difference is the way that they handle challenges. Because as you can see right now, the market took a hit, right? And you can see the ones who are afraid of the hit are going to lose. Why? Because everything is what I call emotional fitness. See, it's not about motivation. It's about being emotionally fit to make the right decisions, being consistent and being disciplined. So, for example, the app will tell you how consistent you are in your workouts, how consistent you are in your meditations, how consistent you are in reading books, how consistent you are in talking to your wife or your kids. Because it measures the 4 key areas: your health, which is your body, your being, your connection with a higher power, with meditation or God, your business, your ability to produce or make money, and your bonds, your relationships. Once you tap on those 4 key areas and then you have a KPI, and you know whether every single day you're getting closer to what you want or you're falling behind and you're losing the game of life.
What is one of the biggest things that you see entrepreneurs that are struggling with? They're successful, they're making money. What's one of the things that you think?
They feel that they're alone. Every single high achiever eventually will build an island, especially men. The reason that I started tapping into the men's mental health is because I went through the depression. I got to the what I thought at that moment was a top. I had a multi-million-dollar business, I had a beautiful wife, great kids, and I was depressed. I didn't want to go to the office anymore. I didn't want to close deals anymore. I was in the real estate business. Before, I used to wake up with energy, looking forward to close deals. Now by myself, dragging my ass to the office because I didn't want to be in the battle anymore. I lost my drive. I lost what I called the edge. That's what the app is called, the edge, because I feel like men lose the edge and they don't know where to go. They feel alone. They feel like they're the only ones. The truth is that we all go through this. And more men need to know that they're not alone, that it's okay to lose the edge. It's okay to go to what I call the midlife crisis. The reality is it's not a midlife crisis. It's a midlife opportunity. What's the opportunity? Because for me, the opportunity was I already made money in real estate. The opportunity was, what's my true purpose in life? I was lacking purpose. I was making money and my whole life I was focusing on making money, but I wasn't fulfilled because I wasn't living with purpose. And that's what I see with high achievers now. They don't have purpose. There is a purpose crisis right now in this country with men.
Well, and that's one of the interesting things too, because a lot of times when you're first getting started in business and entrepreneurship, your edge is your hunger, is that you're so close to starving. So your edge is just kind of fear and survival. But then after you get past that first million or that first 6 figures or whatever that is for you, then it's like, okay, what are we still fighting for? I forget the exact statistic. It's obviously changed for inflation, but I believe it was between $75,000 and $100,000 per year. After that, money doesn't give you happiness. So money gives you happiness when you're broke and you go from being not able to eat to being comfortable. But then once you get comfortable, what's going to drive you to keep going to the next level?
You know what happens is that every man celebrates their home runs.
Yeah.
We want to celebrate the home runs. We want to be the ones who are kill that in the market. But what about the base hits, the little hits that gets you to the home runs? So what I do with clients, whether they're succeeding in business or in every area of their lives, I ask themselves, like, what does the home runs look like? And can we rewire our brain to celebrate and teach ourselves to celebrate the base hits? So for example, the app is base hits. It's a dopamine hit in your brain that maybe you're not losing weight every single day, but you know what? You got 15 minutes in the treadmill. That's a win. Check. That maybe you didn't close a big deal that made you millions of dollars, but you learned a little bit about marketing and becoming a better leader. Check. Maybe you didn't have an epic, connection with your wife and your kids, but you sat down with them and you had a conversation. You had dinner with them. Check. So it's training men to celebrate their base hits and hitting that dopamine hit so we don't feel like we're losing. If you ask every single man who's successful right now, they feel like they're winning, 99% will tell you that they feel like they're not where they should be in life. Doesn't matter how much money. I coach billionaires or millionaires. And if you ask every single one of them, like, man, I know there's a next level. But how come we cannot appreciate the level that we're in? Because we have not been taught to be present. We have not been taught to celebrate the base hit, to be implementation, to believe that once we hit the home run, then we're worthy. Otherwise, we're failing.
I love that. If you could get in a time machine and go back to the 18-year-old version of yourself and give yourself advice about business success, what advice would you give your younger self?
And first, I would tell them, stick with the girl that you're chasing, because I met my wife when I was 18 years old, and she was one of many girls at that point that I had, but she ended up being the one. So if I go back to the 18-year-old and say, listen, stop messing around with all these other girls, focus on her, okay? So that's one thing. But in business, I will say, just be patient. Just be patient, because when I went back into my journals of like 15, I have journals for like 15, almost 20 years when I started my business. And my goals were to have the problems that I have right now. My goals were like, but look at some of the challenges I have right now. Those are goals.
Yeah.
So the patience that we need to have, I think that we underestimate what we could do in a decade, and we overestimate what we could do in a year. So everybody's excited for, I'm going to change it in 1 year. No. Talk to me a decade from now. Like you and I have been following each other for almost a decade. Like I remember, you interviewed me like 8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I'm not the same man. You're not the same man 8 years ago. But it takes time. But we constantly measuring ourselves with instant gratification. We want to change yesterday. We want to have the $1 million yesterday. We want to succeed yesterday. No. Have a great book that changed my perspective was The Infinite Game. Play The Infinite Game. Because as entrepreneurs, we're going to do this until we die. I mean, I don't know about you, man. I don't see myself as retiring one day in the beach and sipping pina coladas. I look at myself as constantly looking for where's the opportunity, what's the move.
Yeah, I tell people now that I'm retired, they're like, what do you do? Like, I'm retired. They're like, we can't tell. You're still working pretty hard. And it's like,
you're retired.
No, yeah.
Retired version is the guys hustle, like big work day.
Yeah.
Right? Because we love what we do. So it doesn't feel like work. Like you being here, me being here, like if you tell people that we're working, we're not working. This is what we do in our sleep. So I will say to the 18-year-old, just be patient of who you're becoming. Don't worry about the outcome. Focus on who you're going to become in the next 20 years, the next 25 years. Who are you going to become? We're going to become somebody. The choice is, am I going to become a person who is going to lead? Or am I going to become a person who's going to be a victim? That's why the less attractive personality for any entrepreneur is being the victim. Even if the market goes down, don't be a victim. Even if people try to rip you off, don't be a victim. I tell my kids all the time, here in this house, nobody's a victim. We're not victim of the market. We're not victim of the government. We're not victim of anything. Here we are creators. We create opportunities. We create our own experience. The moment that you rewire your brain from being a victim to being a creator, you're never going to lose. Because there's always going to be something that you could do about your situation.
Yeah. And you have the choice, right? You have the choice. Am I going to be the architect of my future? Am I going to be the architect of my life? Am I going to create the person that I want to become? Or to your point, am I just going to be a victim and just let life happen and blame other people, blame politics, blame the economy, blame the weather, right?
Yeah.
And so I definitely think it's about choosing to be like created in God's image, right? God was a creator. He created us with intention. So if you believe in God and you believe in the divine purpose that we all have inside of each other, then we have to take control of our destiny and take responsibility. You know, my biggest fear is I don't want to die or be on my deathbed, be in my last days and think, oh my God, what if I didn't live up to my full potential, you know? So I think when we focus on legacy, to your point, whether that's financially or emotionally with our families, I think that's how men can achieve greatness and continue to fight, right?
You know what I see with men, especially right now, is that they always focus on their what if. What if I fail? What if they criticize me? What if they say this? I tell them, why don't you ask yourself a better question? Why not? Why not you? Why not now? See, I never thought I was going to be doing what I was doing. I'm a real estate guy, right? I made it in real estate, so I thought like, okay, that was it. I'm going to stay in my lane. Yeah. But then God put something in my heart saying, no, you went through depression because I got to the point that I was drinking every single night. But I got out of that dark place by finding purpose. So I asked God, what's this purpose? Well, now you went to depression, you find your purpose, now you have to help other men find the light in the darkness. That's when I started training men and coaching businessmen because I saw there was a niche. In personal development, there's a lot of women who attend seminars, who meditate. But with men, we see it as, oh, that's weakness. You know, I'm self-made. You know, I don't need meditation. I don't need a coach. That's the condition that we've been taught, that we are weak if we ask for help. So I wanted to break that stick. So that's for the last decade, I've created this foundational businessman, an organization that helps men find their action. So now the next move was, okay, how can I take it at scale? How can I help more men at scale? And that's where the app came in.
Well, and if you look at the greatest people in the world, Michael Jordan had a coach. Even Warren Buffett had Charlie Munger. Like every single great business leader, athlete, entrepreneur, they always have someone. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak, right? They always have someone next to them to help them, to push them to get to the next level.
To hold them accountable.
Yeah.
To raise their standard. But then again, that imposter mentality of who am I to coach? Who am I to coach millionaires? Who am I to coach billionaires, right? So that's where you have the trust of who you're becoming. Then who am I to create an app? Who am I to get into this world? You know, I have a hard time opening my phone and my computer. My kids are the ones who use my phone and my computer, right? But see, the mentality, especially the Latino community, we have to focus on shifting our identity, recreating ourselves, asking ourselves, why not? Why not me as opposed to what if? What if they judge me? What if, you know, I have an accent? What if they laugh at me when I say something? What if I, say something I'm supposed to say? The what ifs will kill your dreams. The why nots will fuel your dreams. Which ones are you going to focus on?
I love it. Raul, I know we're running low on time. If people want to connect with you, they want to learn more about the app, they want to connect with you on social media, where should they go?
Well, the best place to go is go to my Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram, Raul The Edge on Instagram. But download the app. It's a 30-day free Edge 100 challenge. Download the app. Play with it. We're constantly putting more and more features. We have AI there that is actually learning your habits, learning your patterns, because it's all about pattern recognition. The one thing I love about technology, Tony, is that technology allows us to scale and help more people. I'm just one guy. I can only coach a handful of people. But through technology, we're able to help millions of men out there that want to find the edge. Because I believe that you could find your edge in 100 days. In 100 days, if I coach you, if you go through the app, in 100 days, I know your patterns. And you know your patterns, and you know your weaknesses, and you know your strengths. Then we create a game plan every 100 days. And I believe that a man would change his life 100 days at a time.
I love it. Raul, my friend, thank you again for being on the show.
Appreciate you, man.